You may often find that you'll have to plot data on a chart that has scales that are completely different. For example, in this particular data set, I've got revenue in units, and you'll see that the revenue here hovers around 32 to 42,000, whereas the units hovers around 225 to 300. Now these scales are completely different, and they'll cause your chart to look strange. Let me show you an example. Let's create a line chart out of this. So here's what happens. I've got the revenue showing up because the scale is 0 to 45,000, and the revenues fit nicely in this scale. But the units don't. The units are down here. That's because the units are around 225 to 300. So their scale is somewhere down here, and it's hard to see what's going on with this. So the idea here is to put the units on a secondary axis, meaning put it on its own axis so you can actually see what's going on with it. To do so, I'm going to click on this series, and you'll notice that all the data points in the series are selected. I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to click on Format Data Series. And here, under Series Options, I'm going to select Secondary Axis, and I'll close this out. So now you can see that units are very visible now. That's because it's on its own axis, and that axis is over here. There's a secondary axis. This is the axis for the revenues, and this is the axis for the units. And I can change the chart type here. So now I have a nice chart that gives me units and revenues, and I can see both measures clearly. In this next tip, I'm going to show you how to create an average line in your chart. First, let's create a chart with just revenues. I'm going to select just that portion of this table, insert, and I'll insert a column chart. So I've got this basic column chart that shows me revenues going up and down, but it would be nice if I could see a line going through this chart showing me where the average is. That way I can see whether each month was above or below the average. So what I'll do is move this chart down here, and I'll just create my own data points. I'm just going to create a dummy series here, basically a series that I create myself. It's not real data, it's something that I create. And I'm going to type in a formula, equals average, and I'll select a range, close parentheses. So this is a function. I'm using the average function, and I'm feeding the average function the data in my range. I'll press enter. So the average for this range is about 37,000. Now I just want to repeat this number all the way across. And the easiest way to do that is just to reference this particular cell, equals that cell to the left. So this particular formula says grab the cell to the left. Now I just want to copy this formula all the way over here. So each of these cells say grab the cell to the left. So this grabs M6. This grabs L6. So the end result is you have an average data point that is the same number consistently from January to December. At this point, I can click on my chart, grab this little blue line here, and pull that down. And again, we discussed this in Lesson 6, where you can grab this little blue dot here and add to your chart by expanding your data range. So I've got now revenue and average. Now what I'll do is select the average series so that all the bars in the average series are selected. I'm going to right-click on one of them, change series chart type. I'm going to go to a line chart. And I want to select a line chart without those markers, just a blank line. This is fine, and I'll press OK. Now I've got a simple line telling me where the average is for the year, allowing me to see whether each month is above average or below average. This next tip is more of a cosmetic tip, allowing you to make your charts look a little bit cleaner and a little bit smoother. I'm going to create a line chart here. Select my range, insert, line. I'll expand this out so you can see this. Now there's nothing spectacular about this line chart. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one of these lines into a smooth line so you can kind of get an idea of what the smooth line does. I'm going to select a series, right-click, and I'm going to select Format Data Series. Now there's an option here called Line Style. Under that, you'll see Smooth Line. Once I select it, I can press Close, and you can see how this line is now a smooth line. The blue line, which represents 2007, has kind of got a jagged look, and the red line, which represents 2006, has got a smooth look. Now, this is especially useful if you have a chart that's showing lots of data points, such as this one.